Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Game Junk Podcast, episode 131, recording on December 11th, 2022. My name is Frank.
My name is Sean.
And my name is Andrew.
And we have a huge episode this week. The Game Awards, the 2022 Game Awards took place this Thursday, and there were a lot of announcements. We'll be talking about our thoughts about the show and all the events that took place. So let's not waste any time. Let's get right into it. Did you guys watch the Game Awards live?
No.
I saw part of it live, like kind of the first hour, I would say.
All right. I didn't watch the pre-show, but I watched all of the Game Awards live, possibly for the first time. Actually, the Discord, the Film Junk Discord was like all over it. We were talking about it a lot. And I have to say, I usually don't care about this award show. Like, I'm semi-interested in the news and some of the announcements, but this year felt like, I wonder if they saved some of the Summer Game Fest stuff for the Game Awards, like trying to push it to the Game Awards, because those announcements typically feel lackluster to me. And this year it felt like big stuff got dropped, especially leaked stuff early that would have been huge if it was in the context of the show. So this is the first time in the history of the Game Awards where I was like, that feels like a major event in the world of video games. The awards matter to some degree. I still wish there was more awards on the Game Awards, but the trailers, anything that came up was pretty significant, in my opinion.
Yeah, there was some big trailers. I mean, I'm sure we can debate whether this is really about the awards or the trailers, because I think it felt like 70-30 in terms of trailers versus awards. But yeah, I mean, definitely bigger than Summer Game Fest. I think people know that. I assume the audience is a lot bigger. People are tuning in for the Game Awards more so than Summer Game Fest, and perhaps that's why you get the bigger announcements.
Yeah, I'm sure that's the case. It just, it feels a little weird when they burn through 10 categories via text on the screen. And it's like, okay, we could make this another hour, let's say, and just give someone an award. I feel like they've even reduced the awards they give out. So I don't know. I'm not crazy about that, but
well, I mean, they really just wanted to give out awards to the God of War people and the Elden Ring people, and that was basically it. So
don't forget Stray.
Oh, did Stray actually walk up on stage though, or was that just one of the hand-me-down? Oh, was it? Okay.
No. Yeah, there was an awards acceptance for Stray. So I guess first we'll recap the awards a little bit. I think, as Huck just said, a lot of it was for God of War Ragnarok and Elden Ring, which I think the world knew it was going to come down to that. So there was not a lot of mystery, intrigue, or surprise. The biggest moment or debate was what would win Game of the Year, Elden Ring or God of War Ragnarok. I was pretty certain Elden Ring would win, and I was really certain once it won Best Direction that was probably going to be the case. Stray cleaned up all the indie awards, which was no surprise because it was the only indie game nominated for Game of the Year. So I think there was, though I was pretty certain within the world of gaming, the response to God of War is a little lackluster. I see a lot of people saying it's not that great, or there's pacing issues, or it's the same as the first one, which I understand those points, but I still love God of War Ragnarok. We'll see if we review it in the future. But Elden Ring, I spent more time with Elden Ring, but I didn't beat it. And it just felt like something more new, and specifically taking Souls-like to a place that is perfect for it in an open world where if you're under-leveled or you suck at a certain part of the game, you can explore and get better without being frustrated with a boss. So that felt like the perfect marriage, pinnacle of Souls-like format, and I was not surprised that it won Game of the Year.
Yeah, no surprise. I mean, I'm not, like, I guess I won't spoil what what I'm thinking for my top 10 of the year right now. But
Like you got a hot take on Game of the Year?
What? No, I'm just saying I don't want to come out and say whether I prefer Elden Ring or God of War Ragnarok. You can probably guess, but I mean, the thing is, I think Elden Ring just has that. It just has more of a. It just feels cooler. People think it's cooler. It's like the harder game, and like, Souls-like has had this kind of reputation among hardcore gamers for years now. So it's kind of like bubbled up to the mainstream, and it's the cool thing to like. I feel like that part of it, like, it definitely wins the popularity contest. Whether one is better than the other, they are very different games. It does feel like a bit of a crossroads, maybe, in terms of like what people are looking for in games, just because Ragnarok's a little more linear, a little more of like a traditional action adventure, whereas Elden Ring is something. I mean, it's open world, which is not necessarily new, but as you said, Frank, the combination of elements in open world is kind of new.
Yes. And I mean, in terms of the Game Awards being an event, I don't know if there's, I guess the other notable thing to me was Bayonetta 3 winning Best Action Game. That was not necessarily surprising, but there was some competition there. It also felt like an award show in the sense of moments people were talking about, and it couldn't have been planned, I don't think, but it was bookmarks, basically the opening of the show and the closing of the show. With Christopher Judge's speech, which was like over 10 minutes, I think. And people were like, okay, this is really long, a little self-indulgent. And then the end with the kid crashing the stage and the Bill Clinton drop or whatever. And so there was like that exploded on social media and in the Discord. Everyone's like, what is going on here? So it had everything associated with award show, like news, things trending and events. And at the end of it, it felt like a big deal for the first time in my recollection. I've never felt the Game Awards being more relevant than this year.
Yeah, I thought it was a good show too. But one award I was surprised at actually was the Player's Voice Award, which was, I believe, the player, people voted on choice award, and it went to Genshin Impact, which I was quite surprised at. I mean, that game is very popular, but the fact that it would get enough votes to win, Game of the Year by the players was kind of surprising to me.
So Huckett doesn't know what's going on here, right? Like, Keeley
no.
was alluding to it in the show. So,
well, is that the bots part?
I guess there's some bots. I've heard also that they said they were going to give items out in the game or something to encourage people to vote.
Oh, okay.
If they won. I heard stuff about bots as well, but honestly, this should not be a controversy at all. The award is the people's choice. It's literally a voting award. It means nothing. I thought we voted on the awards anyway. Like, I voted for a bunch of stuff. So I don't know why this particular people's choice vote matters in any way whatsoever. Aren't they all partially people's choice?
Yeah, but
votes?
I think the people's choice portion of the vote is like 5%. Like, it's a small minority versus
I guess I don't like it feels again like a marketing traction thing, if that's all it's about, if it's only worth 5%. So I kind of question some of that stuff. I would prefer if they had those votes and then use them in another way, but I guess I don't know the actual voting process for the Game Awards. Who votes on the Game Awards?
I mean, there's a panel of critics and people in the industry. Like, it kind of approximates like what the Oscars are, I think, but I don't know the specifics. We did talk about this, but it might have been for one of the other awards, Game Awards things, like either DICE or GDC or something. But it's not Jeff Keighley deciding. It's not like the fans deciding. It is like a group of selected people voting on it.
Okay. And, I think it's generally all right with that. Like, nothing ever feels that off. And as the awards continue to improve, I think it gets pretty accurate in terms of reflecting the year of games, more so than movie awards, I think. Like in terms of, I guess the critical community reflects the actual community more so than with film and like people actually consuming stuff, or who, there's so many blockbuster movies and most people consume that versus award show stuff. And there's a separation there, where with the Game Awards, it actually overlaps to some degree, I think. So there's not like kind of different high and low brow versions of games and stuff like that. Even, some stuff like that is still represented in the Game Awards. So I don't know. I think it's pretty good. So awards. Sorry. Yes. Sean?
Just on that, like it says on the site, 90% is the jury, 10% is the fan voting. And the jury is, I think it says 100 people from within the 100 global media and influencer outlets, with some specialized juries for certain categories like accessibility and stuff like that.
Okay. So let's get into some of the announcements.
Well, sorry, before we do that, I just wanted to touch on the kid at the end, which, felt like an Oscar kind of moment, like the slap or something like that. But I mean, I guess he's just some kind of prankster. It seems surprising that it's that easy. And I mean, I don't know if it would have been so easy at other awards shows, or if this is going to increase security at other future award shows. But like, it's interesting because for big awards like that, like at the end of the night where it's a group of people getting up and walking to the stage, they probably do not have like a list of, okay, these are the people that are going to be on stage. So when some random person just stands up and starts walking with them, they think he's part of the show or the staff probably. And the people who do the Game Awards think he's part of their team. So he just sneaks in there, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I have no idea what happens at the Oscars or another awards production. Like if they're vetting people like behind the scenes, I highly doubt it, to be honest. So I think there's maybe a good faith standing within the audience, and maybe the Game Awards, because it's more about announcements, I assume they open it up to the public more than something like the Oscars, which is more industry and it's less likely to happen. Not that those award shows aren't without like weird moments that, security would have been a factor. So it's probably easier to do at the Game Awards.
So I had seen this on Twitter, or like I had known something happened with this kid on Twitter before I actually watched the show. So when I saw him go up there, I was actually impressed that he just kind of stood in the back and clapped for like basically the whole speech. Right. And then at the end, he kind of like, he paid his respect to the game and to the creators. They finished their speech, and then he kind of, then he jumped in afterwards. So it wasn't like this thing where he made a big scene about it. I mean, it was more just like shocking that he was up there for that long with no one kind of like walking over to him being like, okay, buddy, get out of here kind of thing, So
yeah, how would you know even? Like I honestly think that could happen at any award show.
Well, I mean, the one obvious thing is he's not Japanese.
Yeah, but
and the creator of Elden Ring is from Japan. So
you never know, but like in terms of stuff like that, but you also don't know. I'm sure at other movie award shows, like they say, hey, everyone come up, or the whole cast come up, or who knows who's there. Like there's precedent in award shows for like random people coming up on stage to help them accept things. So I'm sure, like most things, it's going to start to be more rules checking and figuring out who's allowed to go on stage for everything. But I don't know. It definitely made it more of a pop culture moment. Okay, let's get to the announcements, the real juice here. If I had to pick the biggest announcement of, I guess let's all pick what we think the biggest thing of the Game Awards was. I know what mine is. I'll go first. And to me, it's Hades 2, which is interesting because it's an indie game, pretty much. And like no one, I'm sure we might have assumed there would be a sequel, but the fact it was called Hades 2, it is a new version of this game. And I don't know if I love the title. It kept referring to Kronos, although I think I heard Kronos is actually trapped. You're freeing Kronos. I thought like naming it after a different god or titan might have been better, but I could see a marketing case. Well, we want people to know it's Hades 2, although gamers are one community where they will know that, I think, especially people who play Hades. So that to me was the biggest surprise announcement of the entire show. What did you guys think was the biggest or best?
Well, I mean, I would say the biggest probably was Star Wars Jedi Survivor, but in the days leading up to the show, it kind of was already leaked or people knew it was coming, so it wasn't a surprise per se. But I would agree with you on Hades too. Putting that aside, I mean, I wish I was personally a little more excited about it. I don't know why. Like, I liked Hades fine. Like, it's probably the most fun I've had with a roguelike game. But I don't know. It's just Hades 2. I'm like, okay, I don't know if I need to play that, but I'm sure I will.
I think I would go. I mean, the one I was most excited for was Jedi Survivor for sure. I thought it looked really, really good. Really impressed me. And March 17th is very soon, much, much sooner than I thought. So pretty excited for that one. But just to, break the mold, I think another one that stood out to me was Judas, which is the new Ken Levine game, which has been silent for a long time. I don't know how long he's been out on his own, but it's been at least 5-6 years, if not longer. So it looks very BioShock, which is, I mean, he's well known for, so it's no surprise. But I think a lot of people will be very excited about this game.
Yeah, the one character looked very similar to, is it Elizabeth in BioShock Infinite?
Yeah.
And the gameplay is very, very BioShock looking, but I loved like the logo for Judas, like the green light beams or whatever. And the spaceship that has the dog animation that opens up. That was amazing. I'm like, that is a cool idea. So I agree with both of you. Those would probably be my secondary announcements, and it would be Jedi Survivor if it hadn't leaked. And agreed. The big thing about that, I'm sure we could all imagine what a Fallen Order sequel would look like. That wasn't interesting, but that it's coming out in 3 months is a big deal. Mm-hmm. I would have guessed at least a year out for that game. And since we knew so little about it, they would start to tease out information and build up to the release. So that just dropping like, bam, coming out March, mm-hmm. There's super a lot soon. Of games coming out from January to March, which is kind of a new trend over the last few years. So in terms of what other big announcements were there that I'm sure they're big, but I didn't resonate that much with me. Armored Core 6, which they didn't really say much about it. And the reason it's big is because Armored Core was originally made by From Software, and it's them making a new version of that game. I don't think it's clear whether it will be true to Armored Core, the original series, or if they're going to push that into a Souls-like version. I could see that happening as well. But I won't be excited for that game until I know which version of a game it is.
Yeah, I mean, that one, I've never played an Armored Core game, but the trailer, before I knew that's what it was, I was like, this looks really cool. And so, then
while you're on that thought, my thought was, okay, we've seen, the fantasy Japanese Souls-like, we've seen other versions, like, okay, this is a sci-fi Souls-like. Right?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. And but then when the title came up and it's Armored Core, and not just like, it's not a like colon something, it's Armored Core 6. To me, that sounds like, okay, it's more of the same, probably, but yeah, I really don't know. So I'm a little bit curious, but like I said, I've never played one before. It's a strategy game series, isn't it? Or is
it's more of a mech-based action game, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Like I know it's mechs, but I thought
it was genre simulation, so mech simulation or something like that.
Okay.
I also don't know much about it. But if I was working at that company, I would probably be pushing, like, should we make this a Souls-like game? Is that what people are expecting? Because the previous entries in the series do okay, but I don't think the gameplay is necessarily beloved. And if we're going to put a lot of time and money into it, how could we make sure people are going to love it or buy it?
Yeah, I mean, From Software is becoming a brand now, right? Like, people love the company and their games, so that's going to put a lot more attention on it for sure.
Another big announcement, although we've seen it before, Final Fantasy 16 release date also this year. The day of my birthday at midnight, I will be able to play Final Fantasy 16. So what a great gift. I'm not that excited for this game until I know what the gameplay's like. Like, it looks great. But Huck, you're the Final Fantasy guy. What did you think?
I thought it did look great, though I did think some of the environments looked a little sparse, which was a little concerning. Like, they had a lot of really wide bridges, possibly to, incorporate these large espers or whatever they're going to be called in this game, summons, but also just like a lot of kind of open fields looking just like grassy with no real trees or anything. So I don't know if that's like a limitation or not, but I did find that they have yet again locked up a Final Fantasy game, them being PlayStation. It's PlayStation 5 exclusive until December 31st, 2023, which is funny considering that's like their big argument against the Microsoft Activision deal is the exclusivity stuff. So that was interesting. I thought it looked good. I mean, I like you were saying, Frank, I have a hard time with these Final Fantasy trailers because they're all just CG, or, a vast majority of them. And it is sometimes hard to distinguish what is CG and what is gameplay, because sometimes they can be very cinematic. And it is kind of hard to tell what is gameplay because they take away the HUD and everything, so you can't really tell.
The gameplay, from the snippets of the trailer, like I see very little party-based gameplay. Mm-hmm. Like, it almost seems like a single protagonist or something like that, and it's more about summons or something like that.
Yeah, it seems really heavy on the summons.
Yeah, it seems like way more action focused, which could be good or could be bad, but I loved the party combat in Final Fantasy VII Remake, of course, and I thought they might go more in that direction or use those systems, reuse them in some way.
Yeah, the gameplay looked more like Final Fantasy 15 to me, though.
Okay, yeah, which to me is a mistake, but you never know. Also, it'll come back to me. There was another thing that I was really surprised by. Oh, sorry. Getting back to your idea of the open spaces, I'm assuming the combat is spaced out, right? Like, similar to Final Fantasy VII Remake, like, you enter certain rooms where combat is designed to take place. And those rooms are, for big battles in that game, they're also like empty almost. Sometimes, like, it's just like the actual battle areas are not that interesting in those games.
Sometimes, yeah.
I don't know if that's that big of a deal, but again, it's tough to get a clear picture of what it is. But graphically and like the kind of medieval fantasy world looks fantastic. So certainly excited for that game.
I just mean,
if you could ask a question, sorry, about Final Fantasy, just
of course,
like 16's the new one that's coming out next year. 14 is the one that was nominated for some awards this year, or is 14 online? Is there
14 online?
Yeah, it's a really it's probably, it might have surpassed God of War as the biggest like MMO. It's very popular.
I don't think you meant God of War. I think you meant World of Warcraft.
So there is a 14 and then 14 online is like an online game in the world of 14. Is that what it is?
Yeah, and that's the story of that. Sorry, wait, say that again.
14's its own world.
Yeah, 14 is separate, but there is like, I don't know. I've been hearing about how there is strands from other Final Fantasy games that are coming into 14. if that makes sense.
I-
And it's online.
I guess what I was just confused about is like 14, it seemed like it was the most recent one. The new one that's coming out is 16, but where's 15? But you said
15's
15,
out.
so it's
15
already
came
been
out
out.
like 5 years ago, dude.
Yeah, 14. So the story behind 14 is
confusing.
the story behind 14 is kind of interesting because it came out, I don't know, 8 years ago and was completely broken. And then they basically shut down the game, rebuilt it from the ground up, relaunched it like 2 or 3 years later, and they called it A Realm Reborn. I don't know if you remember this slogan going around. And then that game was incredible, this remade game. And they basically tied it into the story how, like, I don't know, the world blew up essentially, and then it was reborn, and all in this online space. And now people love this new game that has been created from the ashes of the original. And yeah, it's just very popular.
All right, so we're going to enter a new like tier or category of Game Awards announcements, and I'm going to put this under things that were so good it made me need to go back to play other games that I never finished. And those three things would be Death Stranding, which I never
Yep.
finished, because the Death Stranding 2 trailer looked amazing. So I think I said on the Discord, I'm embarrassed to say I got chills for whatever reason watching that trailer, and then gave myself douche chills by saying that. But it looked really good in like some of the camera perspectives, like cinematically. I got to go back and play Death Stranding. It's
That like robot thing that came out of the water. Ooh,
oh, it is so cool. I got to figure out what's going on with this story.
yeah, it's
Yeah, I
massive.
mean, it doesn't, I have no idea, but yeah, visually looks amazing. And I agree. I do want to go back. I played a fair bit of the first one, but I do need to go back.
There are 3 games that need to occupy my entire holiday break. And a fourth would be Cyberpunk, because they announced some new DLC for that with Idris Elba, which is huge. He's got to be like, I mean, Keanu is probably top 5 or at least top 10 movie stars in the world. Idris Elba's got to be top 10 as well. So to have both of those actors like as major stars of a video game seems like
I mean, I don't know if I'd say they're both top 10, but I mean, they're huge. Yeah, I agree.
I think they're both top 10 for sure.
I mean, Idris Elba, like everybody knows him, but like he's not in any huge franchises, is he? Like he's kind of,
Star Trek, bud. Come on, obviously.
I guess.
I don't know. There's like that. I mean, he's been talked about as being a new Bond. You know, they don't. I don't think they'd say that, or that wouldn't be a rumor if he wasn't pretty huge. I don't know. I've maybe I just like him. I don't know. I think he's good, and that made me want to go back. And I'm sure it's been improved to some degree and polished up over the last little while. And I need to watch the Tim Rogers review. And we need to review it. So.
We need to review the review for sure.
Review the review. So we need that to happen.
I actually just on the Cyberpunk thing, I'm actually really looking forward to that DLC. Like DLC for me, very rarely would I actually play it because I've got a billion other games, full games I need to play, but I actually am excited for that for sure.
And then the other one, which is in the pre-show, I think, Dead Cells pairing up with Castlevania for new DLC.
Yeah, that was weird. They didn't really explain what that even means, per se.
Yeah, but
This is all cartoon.
I'm intrigued. So I don't know what it is either, but I don't even know if I looked at the trailer. So
it's officially licensed. Like it's you know like it's gonna have the characters and stuff. So it's a pretty big deal, I think.
I guess I'll just throw in as a side note of playing again or revisiting Returnal officially announced for PC.
Oh,
I
I thought you were going to say something else I'm surprised it wasn't your game of the show. Vampire Survivors on mobile. Like, come on, man.
Well,
Vampire Survivors.
Vampire Survivors DLC comes out this week, the first official DLC pack. I just found out about Vampire Survivors being mobile, so I've yet to download it. I did actually get back into that game this week, trying to finish it up before the DLC. So I think it was appropriate to bring it up.
It is free on mobile, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, kind of neat. So, some other big stuff. Horizon Forbidden West DLC, Burning Shores, which I have to admit, the Hollywood sign, like that setting, that's
pretty cool.
That is decent. But the interesting thing that I think most people were talking about was that the DLC is exclusive to PS5. It's not coming to the PS4 version.
Interesting.
Which I kind of think is a good thing in a way that hopefully it's going to push the game a bit further and perform better than the original stuff. So I'm okay with that. I'm okay with sacrificing the auto pop. And don't even make me decide.
Yes.
What else? I got a few more things here, but was there anything else you guys were pumped about that maybe wasn't the major announcement?
Well, I would say that one that reminded me of how awesome it looked, and I'm glad it hasn't died, is Replaced, which had a quote unquote official date of 2023, which is nice because I believe this is one of those games that kind of fell into development hell and didn't know if it was going to come out of it. So that's good that they're kind of back on track, putting together a new trailer. And like the art style in this game is just unreal. It is so good. It is hard to say.
Oh, looks like it's borrowing some lighting ideas from the Batman, and the original thing I think we all were like astounded by was just some of the camera stuff, like the tilting and like dynamic camera in a 2D side scroller. So
yeah, and the way they kind of like, it's obviously built in 3D, but it mimics like a 2D parallaxing game. But then they'll do those camera tricks where they pull it out and you can see kind of like around the corners and stuff. And it's really just an impressive game. Really cool. I thought also that as far as like trends, I was surprised at how many sort of like online RPG action-y games were announced. There was Wayfinder. There was that Dune MMO, which maybe not be action-y. It's kind of hard to tell. They didn't really show what that was about. And then there was one other, which I can't find in my list. Oh, Blue Protocol.
Yeah, which I can't fully tell from the trailer, but as I was watching that, I was thinking, I mean, there have been games that have tried to look like an anime film come to life, like you're literally playing an anime film or series. And I mean, there's been a few that have come close. I mean, I think the Ni no Kuni games look pretty amazing.
Yeah, Genshin's pretty close too, I would say.
Yeah.
Ni no Kuni is probably going more for like Miyazaki than like anime.
Yeah, I just mean like you're playing a 2D anime. It looks like a 2D animated film, but you're playing it. It's not just the cutscenes, like the actual gameplay. You're playing it.
South Park. You're literally playing South Park.
That's true. But this one looked pretty impressive. If that's actually gameplay, I couldn't fully tell. But
yeah, there's a lot of cuts.
We've seen that game before, haven't we? I feel like I'd heard of
which one? Blue Protocol.
Blue Protocol. Yeah.
I don't think so.
I might be confusing it with that one from the Sony State of Play. Another surprise was a different take on Bayonetta Origins.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really read anything about it. I have to think people are not are angry about that. I don't know why I think that, but I just feel like Bayonetta fans love the action, and this, I mean, I guess it's an action game, but it looks like a very cutesy, like very different style.
Yeah, it looks like less action focused, or the camera perspective is different as well. So I don't know. It's kind of neat though.
Switch only too, I believe.
Yeah, I think.
Really?
Yeah, Nintendo has like officially, they have a Bayonetta publishing deal. I was wondering. That's what I was waiting to see. Is this their way of getting out of the main series and putting it on other platforms? But no, it wasn't. I'm kind of missed, but heard people talking about the Hellboy Web of Weird or Word. I'm not sure which it is.
Yeah, that looked kind of cool. It's more of a like cell shaded, like comic booky style.
Brawler.
So yeah, what's that?
A brawler. Like
Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of interested. I guess two sort of indie standout things to me that I think one people were definitely talking about, which was Earthblade
Yep.
from the developers of Celeste. I thought that looked really cool and had some Celeste elements in it, but it looked a bit different too.
very early announcement too. Like they said coming in 2024, which is surprising that they're putting it out there so early. But
That's true.
I was a little surprised by that as well, but it looked good. Go ahead, Sean. I think you had another one.
Yeah, the other one, I haven't heard many people talking about this one, but I thought Viewmaster looks pretty cool.
Is it
This was
based on
like-
the toy Viewmaster?
No, it's like another kind of first person puzzle game, sort of
like
Portal-esque,
perspective
but yeah,
puzzles.
playing with perspectives and
kind of like
I mean-
Echo Chrome almost, like, except
I missed this one.
it was in the pre-show.
yeah, it looked kind of interesting.
It's tough to look up and not get the Viewmaster. I have to do some digging for this one. The strangest announcement of the show to me, by far, and another minor viral moment, was Crime Boss Rockhay City.
Oh yeah.
Which is like clearly trying to do a cyberpunk in a Vice City world, like tie into people loving Vice City. And I think it's first person, but it has some pretty big actors and cast.
Did they even say anything about the game except who was in it? Like I didn't even.
There was some footage. Like
Was there?
I think it looked a lot like Cyberpunk to me, a first person kind of action game. But I really could be wrong. I was kind of wondering what this is. I thought it might be a joke at some point. Like I thought
It kind of felt like it, yeah.
it's weird. I mean,
It's definitely stun casting, video game stun casting, big time. I mean, you got
Chuck Norris, Vanilla Ice.
yeah, Michael Madsen was like on stage to present or to introduce it, and that was a strange thing to begin with.
Sorry, I have to bring up that was the other viral moment. I kind of tuned in late with Al Pacino, and everyone was talking about Al Pacino at the award show, and both him and I think there is this sense with him and Michael Madsen that they don't take it as seriously, and they just kind of wing it when they're up there, and they're like, "Oh, well, here we are talking about this game."
Yeah.
There is I'm sure they're getting a lot of money to be there.
Yeah, the Michael Madsen thing, like him introducing it did not explain really anything. It was very confusing and strange. But yeah, then you got him, Danny Trejo, Kim Basinger's in this game, Michael Rooker, Danny Glover, and Vanilla Ice.
I think it's kind of cool.
So-
You're taking these 80s, 90s like big stars, and now they can kind of have a second chance being in a more like action-y kind of role, even though they obviously couldn't do that in a feature film now. I think it's kind of neat that they're kind of like rolling back and trying to play on nostalgia of the olds. We'll get our game.
It could be a lot of fun. I really, I don't know too much about the gameplay, but it is coming out fairly soon. I think March.
March 28th, I wrote down.
That was part of the surprise. Like I'm trying to see some gameplay to see. It looks like it's first person. I want, and the art style is really similar to Cyberpunk. Like the shot of Chuck Norris, the lighting and like modeling is almost identical. So I'm not out. I want to say definitively, I'm not out. It was just strange, which could be good.
Yeah, I'm trying to look up who is developing this. In-game Studios. It looks like they're a Czech house.
I would not be surprised if it's like some secret CD Projekt Red subsidiary using their engine, because it looks so similar. It's crazy.
Could be.
Anyway, there was another weird announcement. That Crash Bandicoot battle game which was like such a dud. Everyone's like, oh, it's going to be Crash Racing 2 or some new Crash idea. And it was like an attempt at an online multiplayer game. And it's like,
I wasn't sure if that was some kind of, game that had existed previously that they were bringing back or something, but
I don't think so.
What did you guys think of Baldur's Gate 3?
I barely looked at it because I'm not into Baldur's Gate. I think I mentioned on the Discord. Remember when this game was being developed for Stadia? It was like, we're working on this game for Stadia. And that was a long time ago. So
that game's still in early access. So
I have no connection to Baldur's Gate. So I don't even remember what it looks like, to be honest.
I'm excited for it only, because I want to try it out, but it's been in early access for a while now. So it's kind of cool to see a final 1.0 ship date, or kind of ship date. I think it was August 2023. I don't think they actually put a fine date on it, but I'm pretty excited to play it one of these days. Been debating playing similar style of games lately, so I'm interested.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the trailer actually looked pretty good. I mean, I never played the first two. I guess they are turn-based RPGs, right? Like the more traditional.
They're kind of like what do they call them? Like they're like tactical. Is it tactical games? I don't know what the term is they use to describe these, but it's kind of like that isometric top-down, and you can pause the action. I think it's kind of like Diablo kind of style, but instead of mashing, you just kind of like say, hey, go attack this guy, and they just go do it. But you can pause at any time and readjust your strategy. Can't remember the name.
Kind of like Dragon Age does something.
Yes,
very
Dragon
similar.
Age Origins does. Yeah,
Divinity: Original Sin.
Yeah, those games.
I think it's
Pillars of Eternity.
Okay.
It's just a different approach to combat and a timing element. So I would just call it an RPG pretty much. I don't think there is a subgenre, but I could be wrong. One other thing, Forspoken had a new trailer coming out in January, and a demo dropped that day on the PlayStation Store. I did play it, not much, but I tried it. It was a 30 gig demo or something like that, which is crazy.
Wow, that's a big
anyone
one.
else try it?
No,
I did try it. Yeah, not for very long, but just a little bit. I mean, I don't know if we want to save it for what we played, but it's basically the only thing I played other than God of War this week.
Yeah, we might not even do what we played this week. So let's just mention it now. I played it limited. The effects are awesome. Like especially some of the shooting spells. It's all about spell casting, and that's pretty fun. And I guess I decided I will buy this game. I'm pretty sure based on the demo. So I didn't play it that much, but the demo is not good in terms of like, clearly you're getting a bunch of powers at once. I feel like I'm at like halfway through the game and it's overwhelming to figure out like what's going on. So I kind of wish the demo actually guided you through a few things more rather than just letting you figure stuff out on your own. But it looks good. My other complaint, I think the character was like dropping F-bombs every 3 seconds during combat. I'm like, this again? The games have to swear constantly. I don't care that much. It's just kind of lazy writing.
I feel like I've seen a pretty mixed reaction to this. Like I almost wonder if releasing this demo is going to hurt them. Like I've literally seen like multiple people on Twitter saying like, thanks for releasing the demo, just confirmed I won't be buying this game, and it's like, ugh. So
I'm the opposite. I thought it was cool. The only thing I think needs to be improved is like walking. It's got really clunky pivots and
yes.
Even the parkour movement still feels kind of stilted and slow. So if I was going to polish up one thing, I'd be looking at that because the combat felt decent enough and the presentation elements, the menus were good. Felt like really polished AAA game, but that felt a little off.
Yeah, I like the story. Like, I guess maybe I didn't fully catch on in previous trailers what the story was, but I like the idea of like somebody from the real world getting pulled into this fantasy world. Like, it's a pretty standard trope, but I feel like video games haven't used that very often. So you've got this character who's got all these magic powers, but she's kind of wearing like running shoes, and like, you know, she's kind of in awe of certain things around her. Like, I think that's a cool thing that could really work for that game. But I do agree, and I definitely saw other people saying this as well, the dialogue between her and like the bracelet or whatever, it just was kind of annoying and obnoxious. And I don't know if it's just another case of too much talking, like people thinking characters need to talk every second. That maybe that's what it is, but that could be a problem. And yeah, combat was okay. The parkour thing is weird because you're just holding a button down and then it just does a bunch of stuff for you.
Which is inspired. It's basically lifting Assassin's Creed. That was the whole idea with Assassin's Creed. But I did find fighting on a bridge, like I was falling off the bridge and like holding things down. It doesn't have a lock on, or at least I didn't encounter one. The typical like user experience these days of clicking in the right stick to lock on an enemy is not there, which I also found very surprising.
Yeah, I also expected that. I thought I saw some, like an article or something mention a lock on. So maybe just the tutorial elements don't teach you it, but
it's just another case of why are games reinventing control schemes at this point? Like, you better have a really good reason.
Yeah. But yeah,
I don't want to say they don't definitively yet, but I did like it though. I will buy it. It's my kind of game.
Yeah, I was kind of into it as well. But I could see why it might rub some people the wrong way, for sure.
One other thing I wanted to mention, because I think it was last week's episode, we talked about Warhammer existing in different genres, like strategy and first-person shooters. And I think we'd heard of this game before. It was a gameplay reveal, but there is a third-person action game in the Warhammer universe called Space Marine 2. I'm assuming it's a sequel at that point. So again, it looks good. We're having an overwhelming number of third-person action games. I'm wondering when people are going to get burnt out, but you can add another one to the list. And maybe that Transformers game is that too?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one, I don't remember too much about it, but I just remember the reveal that it was a Transformers game being surprising. Like watching the trailer and thinking, this is kind of interesting. What is this? And then it's like Transformers. I was like, what? But could be cool.
Oh, yeah. Another one that's similar in terms of camera perspective. It says it's an RPG though, is Banishers, which, was Don't Nod. Nod's game.
That one was like mostly CG. And then at the end, they showed the guy like walking a little bit.
Yeah, that looked good. Remnant 2. I played the first Remnant a bit. I don't really care that much, but it could be good. I think that's it. They showed more of that Wild Hearts game that's coming out later this year, which is like a Monster Hunter kind of like by a different company. And I think that looks decent.
We do have to address the Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League trailer.
Which I did not like that. It was basically an excuse to tie into the death of Kevin Conroy. That was gross.
I felt the same way. Like it's weird because like I think if it was a Batman game, it would have been like, okay, I understand. Like you're going to highlight this is his final performance and, you know, like make it a tribute to him. Totally cool. But Batman hadn't even really been revealed as a character in this game, I don't think. So they just decided, well, we got to show people this is his final performance. And they really leaned into that. And it did feel weird to me.
Yeah. I mean, there was a bit of a debate about this on the Discord and the idea like, well, Fast and Furious, like movies do that all the time, but Fast and Furious felt different. Like they knew Paul Walker was going to be represented in the movie in some way, but you didn't know until the movie came out. So like this felt a little more like almost benefiting from his death in a marketing way. Personally, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm sure people would figure this out eventually when they play the game or talk about when it's coming out. So it felt a little like grossly opportunistic to me. Street Fighter 6 had some pre-show stuff that I'm sure people are pumped about that.
There was one.
Tekken 8,
There was
Tekken 8
one.
people were losing it in the crowd as well. Like, I didn't realize Tekken was still such a big deal. I don't know if they paid people to be in the audience.
There was one other one of the pregame show which I found kind of interesting called Post Trauma. It looked like a Resident Evil style puzzle thriller game type thing. It was pretty interesting looking. I don't know much about it other than that, but it had me intrigued off of the little bit that was showing. And I got a couple duds I wanted to talk about. The first is by everyone's favorite punching bag, EA, Immortals of Avamum. It was some sort of like pure CG, Bioshocky looking, I don't know, sci-fi something. I don't know, looked like crap.
Yes,
And
it is.
Yeah, I don't even remember this one.
yeah, you wouldn't because, and it had like, the big orchestra music and like, boom, look at this awesome logo and like, look at all this CG.
The logo looked cool. But
Yeah.
that's-
Yeah, so like it's just a big CG trash trailer, and like who's gonna get excited? You don't even know what this game is. Like, is it a shooter? Is it first person? I don't know. Like it implies first person, but you can't really tell. And then the other thing, which
I'll tell you one thing that has me a little more excited. Just
Okay.
a brief recap here. From the creative director of Dead Space and multiple Call of Duty campaigns comes Immortals of Avium. And it's a first-person magic shooter, which is kind of seems to be a thing these days. Like Tiny Tina and even Forspoken at times is a magic shooter, third person. But I didn't realize it's an EA Originals. Like they're kind of publishing it as an indie game. It's kind of like, so It Takes Two. So that has me a little more excited for it.
okay,
'Cause they usually pick good stuff for EA Originals.
yeah, okay, that's a little more interesting. The other thing was that game company concert thing. Has anyone attended the concert yet?
No.
No. Okay. No, I don't think so. That was strange. Because doesn't Fortnite do concerts and stuff like that? And they're probably way bigger. And they were going on. And just the fact that they had like stage time was kind of surprising. But I don't know. I guess people like Sky and like that game company. So,
To
anyways.
be fair, a lot of your duds aren't even in the recap I'm reading.
Well, there you go. That's how Dudley they were.
I don't really care, but more Mario Brothers stuff. I'm already sick of everything with this movie. Every single new idea I get, like, have to hear about it in a Nintendo Direct or some news announcement. Like, fuck off. I'm done with this movie.
Well, I would say the Keegan-Michael Key appearance was a dud. Like the whole like Toad hat cap thing. Like I don't think people in the crowd knew what he was talking about.
I liked it, but I thought he was going to go with the fact that it's a cap because he's a mushroom, like a mushroom cap.
But that's what he was saying at first.
Yeah, but I don't think he nailed the mushroom connection.
Yeah, I guess.
Maybe I'm misremembering. I didn't care about that. I'm just sick of the hype for everything to do. Every voice, every new visual from it. Can I just see this movie and be done with it? Please.
Yep.
You fucking done with this award show?
I think that's all I had notes on.
Are we going to give it a grade? I feel like we need to give this a letter grade.
The only,
Yeah, we
the
could
only
do that.
thing I wanted to say was it was nice to see some actual game creators come out and present something when Ken and Roberta Williams came out. Like, enough with the actors presenting stuff. Like, give me a break. I mean, if you're gonna like bring out, I mean, you brought out Troy Baker. Okay, I knew you had to,
Oh, I
but
forgot
like,
to bring up that. Please, okay, we got to talk about that.
Yeah.
No, so but finish your thought, and then I want to.
I was just gonna say, like, if you're gonna have a game award show, maybe have some game developers. Like, bring out the guy from Doom Eternal that everyone loves, Diego or whatever his name is, Jorge. I can't remember what his name is, but like bring out Romero, bring out Carmack, bring out Brenda Romero. Like, there are game developers that people know that they could get to come on these shows, and they wouldn't be like complete robots out there. I mean, they've done GDC talks in front of people. They've been in front of panels before. I don't think they would have a problem, and they wouldn't be as like condescending as some of the actors that they pull out there to do these monologues. I don't know. Seems weird.
Yeah, I think this show is the opportunity. Like if people say that, these game developers aren't well known enough, well, this show is the opportunity to make them well known. Like there are people who have personalities, like, look at the guy from It Takes Two. Like he's become like a staple of this show now. So like, I think, bringing more people out so people get to know them, and then they will become celebrities. And
what about that woman that like stole the show last time? I can't remember what game she was working on, but do you remember she was just like super bubbly? She was from Japan, and her English wasn't very good. Do you remember the girl I'm talking about?
No.
I don't remember. Was that actually the Game Awards, or was that a different
It may have been a different show, but I mean, she would have been a perfect person to grab just to come out and do a quick little blurb and, get people laughing or whatever. And I don't know. She's in games, that's always a plus.
So you remind me of two other kind of viral moments. One is the Troy Baker thing when they did new Last of Us stuff. They presented an award, I think. And like,
I love you. No, I love you. No, we love each other.
Approval. Like, I've seen this and it's amazing. Thank you for Ellie. Again, the gross Last of Us reverence needs to stop. And like that, I can't remember. Oh, yeah.
I love you playing me, playing you. You're the best.
When they get saying things at the same time. What a fail.
Yeah.
And then, the flute player, the flute guy.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. He was rocking out.
Amazing.
He was into it, man. At the end, he was like giving everyone the hang 10 and like super jacked, and he was loving it. Or hang loose. Not hang 10. Hang loose.
Pedro Eustache or Eustache. I don't know if there's an accent missing there, but but he was playing all different instruments. Like he was swapping out all the time, and that was like felt like another moment that everyone was talking about. So that was pretty awesome.
Yep, I agree.
Man, that Troy Baker moment. I thank God we remembered that, because that was brutal.
And the fact that they tried to like pretend it was spontaneous when it obviously was completely scripted, like, it just made it all that worse.
It just showed this dichotomy with like video game performers, and because the actors from the show were like playing it cool. They're like, what is, like, this is fucked up. Like, what are we? It was not good. Yeah, it was the worst. Just the approval. It was so gross. We've seen it and we can verify it's actually good. We are the authorities on all thing Last of Us.
I have given it my holy blessing. It may be released.
Oh God. I think that's it. Are we ready for our letter grades?
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm going into unprecedented territory. A+.
Whoa.
I don't think I've ever won anything an A+ before.
Woo.
That's,
holy moly.
That's crazy.
That is an award show. It had everything and lots of big announcements.
I'm giving it a B.
A B? What was wrong with it, dude? We've never been as passionate about a Game Awards ever.
I mean, if you're holding it up to press conferences, which I don't know if that's a direct comparison. I think as an award show, I wanted more awards. I didn't like that they were skipping over all that crap and just, like, especially like all the awards for specific categories like action game, RPG, all that. Like, those don't get like people on stage and giving speeches. Like, that seems weird to me.
Look, I agree. As an award show, I'm basically reviewing it as a conference, like for the announcements and the event. The awards are like things to make fun of at all the game trade shows where people talk and do shit in between. So,
okay. I mean, yeah, still like a B for me in terms of announcements, but
I need to bump that up.
No.
Well, I'm I'm kind of closer to Sean. I'm going B plus. I thought some of the announcements were very good, but nothing really blew me away. You know, the old, like Star Wars Survivor, I would say was the best looking thing, but really what gave it to me was that just that it's so coming out so soon. Not really that the trailer blew me away per se.
Yeah, I'm hearing you. But this was a reveal for the sequel to, I think, our unanimous game of the year. The year it came out, Fallen Order.
Could have been. Yeah, could have been.
Don't remember, but
Hades 2, like one of the most beloved games ever. A huge announcement. Death Stranding 2, huge surprise. I'm sure BioShock or BioShock Infinite would have been our games of the year those years, potentially. And oh yeah, you hate backtracking.
Yes, I do.
I'm not even going to go there.
Yeah, don't.
But I think it was huge. I think there's lots of stuff. Death Stranding 2, even the shitty stuff. Like, I know some's catered to me. Returnal on PC, Vampire Survivors drops, like everything.
Look at those huge announcements.
Everything I want. No, I'm saying those are the little things, and I still love them. And I'm going to sound like a hero here, so feel free to insert a hero drop. I get more excited about the indie games, and this was much more about the big AAA blockbusters. So there was some good stuff, but it's a B.
Oh, one thing I forgot to mention, which I wanted to bitch at, there was a game called Party Animals.
Oh, yeah.
And they kept showing a duck and calling it a Canada goose, and I was losing it. I was like, how can you be calling this a Canada goose? This is not a Canada goose. And it was pissing me off, and it probably shouldn't have, but it did. And I will not be buying this game or recommending it to anyone.
People were mentioning this in the Discord.
Oh, were they?
Yeah. And that Party Animals game, I can't remember if that was actually an announcement or one of the commercial breaks where it was a bunch of paid trailers.
Oh, yeah, it could have been.
We have to talk about one more thing. And this felt like the hint of Microsoft's presence at this show. And like, I love the art style of Party Animals, but the attitude.
What was the other game, like Gang Beasts or something like that? There was like another physicsy game like this.
It's in between Gang Beasts and Fall Guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, Xbox, pretty much a no-show, nothing. People were like commenting when they showed Phil in the crowd that he's like, that was also that day or the day before. The Federal Trade Commission is now investigating the merger, which, for the record, I do not get. I clearly don't understand the ramifications of this deal because I feel like it happens all the time in games. I don't know, just because it's bigger, something is up with this merger. I don't know what it is, but
they're not really investigating it in like a criminal way. It's just like an investigation if it should be allowed or not.
Okay, which still seems weird, but I guess because it's being talked about and Sony is blocking it so much, maybe they're required to at some level. But yeah, Xbox, Game Pass, the best value, Game Pass, it's the greatest. You're shitting on Game Pass. Game Pass, complete no-show. Blue Haze, domination. I haven't even brought that up yet. Stray, God of War. There's other ones I'm missing that are PlayStation exclusives. A complete dominance for Horizon Forbidden West, which I'm not that crazy about, but dudes, it's not even close. Anyone who is telling me otherwise and trying to convince me that's not the case, you got to at least eat those words now. It's over. I said it was over before the systems came out. I think we're finding out I was correct.
I mean, it was definitely not a great year for Microsoft. So they have some big stuff next year. We'll see how that plays out. But yeah, I mean, there were some ads, there were commercials for Game Pass, and obviously replaced as a Game Pass game. So there was a few things, but not a whole lot at the show.
I'll be accepting apologies for the near future. It's all right. It happens. Yeah, I know you want to defend Game Pass, but like I just call it like I see it. We can tell which games are better. And even IGN's turning on Xbox. They wrote the opinion, like the Xbox guy at IGN turned in the opinion piece about how bad it was.
Uh-oh.
I love Sony, and I mean there's very few Game Pass games this year that really grabbed me.
I mean, potentially they might have cut off their holiday advertising this season on IGN, so maybe that's why they wrote the article. Who knows? Not seeing a lot of Xbox advertising there these days. They have nothing to advertise. Anyway, are we talking about what we played, or I feel like I got nothing new really.
Yeah, I just played God of War more.
Okay, so a lot of fun stuff to talk about. That was exciting. You can watch us on youtube.com/GameJunk. On Twitter, Sean is FilmJunk. Andrew is My Angry Commute and Equilibrium Sis. Next week, some pretty big games coming out this week. Big win for Game Pass, since I just brought it up. High Life comes out this week.
High on Life.
High on Life comes out this week. Thank you, Sean. I always correct you with titles, so you got one in on me. I appreciate it. And I will play it. I don't know if I'll buy it on Steam. I'm going to test it out on Game Pass first, but I'm intrigued still, even though that last gameplay demo was brutal. And Crisis Core, Final Fantasy VII, which I already pre-ordered. I got a pretty good deal on at Green Man Gaming. So if you're interested, check it out there. So, and the reviews are decent for that. It's still flying under the radar completely, but the Metacritic reviews are good. So that's I'm kind of pumped for that. Anything else coming out this week that I'm missing?
I don't have anything written down. I mean, it's definitely there's not a lot between here and the new year at this point, I don't think.
Neon White coming to consoles is another thing this week. It was only on Steam and PC before.
And Switch.
I said Steam and PC. I meant Steam and Switch. Sorry. I'm fucked up, dude. I was at a Bills game all day. I'm
flying high.
KO.
High on Life.
Oh, freezing my ass off. Tired as shit is actually what's going on. So thanks for listening or watching. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.